Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. I can see a lot of familiar names joining us. Apologies for starting off a couple of minutes late. There were some fundamentals for the British pound that did just end up coming out. You do know 9 o'clock is the Frankfurt market open. So we did need to end up adjusting a number of things. So I guess we can jump straight into it. So hello everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Mitch Kanyara. I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, you do know during these webinars, we as the Afriforex team, we analyze the markets, we identify what trading opportunities we'll be looking at taking for the day, and we do share that information with you. So as usual, Afriforex is not a one-man show, so we do have John. He is here in the back office. We've been seeing him the whole of the week, or at least throughout the week. So I will be taking over today. So John will be there in the back office. He'll be here to assist you whatever questions or queries you might have. So feel free to ask those questions either in the Q&A section or in the chat box. John will be there to respond to you. But remember, I will still be addressing all the questions at the end of the webinar, mainly the ones that are on the Q&A section. So let's jump straight into it, since we do at least have started off a few minutes later. So as usual, we'll start off with our watch list, and you can see this is going to be our watch list for today. But if you compare it to yesterday we were looking for buying opportunities on the Japanese yen, the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, as well as the Australian dollar. And we're looking to mix and match that with the pairs on the sell side. So that's the Swiss franc, the euro, the New Zealand dollar, as well as the British pound. But you can see today, there have been a number of pairs that have changed sides. So today, this is going to be our watch list. So we'll be looking for buying opportunities on the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, the Australian dollar, as well as the British pound, which is those fundamentals that just came out right now. And we'll be looking for selling opportunities on the Swiss franc, the euro, the New Zealand dollar. However, the yen has now moved to the sell side today. So we'll keep on coming back to this watch list. So before we do end up focusing on today's pairs, let's have a look at the pairs that we did have yesterday that we're not going to be looking at today. Before we do end up looking at a few screenshots that we did manage to get, then we will jump on to today's pairs. So we'll start off here with the Swiss franc against the Japanese yen. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. You can see the three areas that John had pointed out initially in the morning when we were discussing this market. The price was all the way down here within a bias area. And you can see at 10 o'clock, the price managed to actually come up quite aggressively. We wanted to see whether or not we're going to hold within this area. We did not. We actually came above and confirmed that based on the fact that the price was actually holding above this area. Now, 3 o'clock, you can see the price was within this seller's area. We did end up seeming to get a small probe right there, because you can see the price of 3 managed to actually end up coming down lower, coming back towards the support and resistance area. But at 4:30, we did end up getting a bit of strength to go to the upside. And once it did that, it did fall off our watch list. So even though today you can see the price has come back in within the areas that we are looking at, unfortunately, this is not a pair that we're going to be looking at today. So that's most of the case with most of the yen pairs. So we'll start off here with the euro against the Japanese yen. Yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities, and can see the three areas that John had pointed out. Now, yesterday at 10 o'clock during the London market open, we were pushing to the upside within this area. You can see that the market probed multiple times. We never got the price actually reaching and holding above within this area. And at 3 o'clock, we did end up getting a very nice selling opportunity to come down. We'll end up having a look at a few screenshots, because we were looking at this currency pair with the Afriforex team. So the market did manage to come down, but you can see the reason why we always say make sure the price actually reaches and falls below. So you can see all the way the price was all the way down within this area. If you are jumping in on sell there and do not wait for the pullback to confirm that the price is holding, then you clearly see you would have ended up taking an unnecessary loss. So the price managed to actually come back in, confirm that the price is actually holding above within this area, and you can see the pullback they did end up happening. But unfortunately for us today, this is a pair that's going to be off our watch list. Now, moving on to the next pair that we did have the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Remember, yesterday our bias here was to look for selling opportunities, but nothing really much happened yesterday. Wanted to see some signs of big boy sellers coming in. You can see the illustration that John had pointed out when the price ended up approaching this seller's area. But you can see at 3 o'clock, nothing much happened. The price was just struggling. No big boy sellers ended up appearing, and you can see the price continued grinding up slowly. Even though right now it has tried to come down, clearly there is no big boy within this market. If the big boys were there, you'd see huge movements such as these as the price was coming down. But yesterday, no big boy was really involved in this. And since that's the case, neither were we. So moving on to the next pair, that we did have yesterday that we're not going to be looking at today. We did have the British pound against the Canadian dollar. Now, in this kind of pair, yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. You can see during the London market open, the price actually started coming to the upside. Wanted to see what kind of reaction we did end up getting within this main seller's area. The price couldn't get all the way till that particular area. Seems like we found some total support and resistance at 3 o'clock. We saw the price attempting to try and come down lower, but we could not really, because you can see at 4:30, that's when the price actually started going to the upside. Initially today, we wanted to see what ended up happening within this area because the price did end up approaching this location. But you can see right now, this big movement to the upside, that is mainly because, remember, I did point out there was some British pound fundamentals, these ones for retail sales that were coming out at 9 o'clock. And that's the reason why you're seeing all this strength on the British pound pair. So unfortunately for us, there's a pair that we're not going to be focusing on today. Now, the next pair we did have was the British pound against the US dollar. Similar situation, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. There was a small sell that did work out. You can see the 3 areas that John had pointed out, but he also pointed out a support and resistance area within this location that the price could potentially react from. And you can see at 10 o'clock, the price was in the buyer's area, so no selling opportunity then. We did end up getting the pullback coming in. Price did not get all the way to the top area, but we were within the seller's area at 3 o'clock, and you can see the price managed to come down low. Unfortunately, at 4:30, we're back in a buyer's area, and you can see the price started grinding to the upside, not really able to make any new lows. So there was a small selling opportunity there, but you can see today and right now, the fact that the British pound is showing a lot of strength, this pair does fall off our watch list. Now, moving on to the next kind of pair that we did have the British pound against the Australian dollar. Now, this kind of pair did end up working out yesterday because our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. You can see the 3 areas that John had pointed out and even the illustration that we did end up seeing right here. You can see the market attempted to come up higher. We did end up probing, coming back in. So at that point in time, wanted to see at least the fact that the price was holding below. That was a good sign for us. But the London big boys weren't really able to take it much lower. So you can see the price managed to give us a pullback, came back within this seller's area, gave us a nice probe, similar situation. And this was around 3 o'clock during the US market open. Because remember, we keep on pointing these timings, 10, 3, and 4:30, because that's when you're most likely to find some big movements happening on the charts. But you can see the market did manage to come down lower. Didn't really manage to break this area to the downside. It only managed to come all the way down. That was today during the Asian session. You can see as the price came back toward this area. But that rejection, and you can see the price at least going to the upside, the British pound strength coming in. So unfortunately for us, there's a pair that we could end up finding it ranging. So that's why we're not going to be focusing on this today. So before we do jump on to today's pairs, since that's all the pairs that we did have yesterday, but we're not going to be looking at today, we'll end up looking at a few screenshots. Now, most of these screenshots seem to have come from the Afriforex sniper squad. So we start off here with Dan Bickett. He did manage to grab a very nice buying opportunity on the UK 100. We do know like trading the indices, and you can see some very good trade management. You brought the buy down there. As the price got towards the first problem area, you managed some of the trade. As the price came up higher, you managed more of the trade within the seller's area, and you have moved your stop loss up within a very good area. So very, very well done on this trade, Dan Bickett. We also did manage to grab a selling opportunity on the euro against the US dollar. This one seems like it was a bit later, but at least you did manage to already manage the trade due to the fact that the stop loss is already below your entry. So very, very well done on this trade, Dan. And you also did grab the NAS 100. So very nice buy right there. You can see the price already coming up in your favor, stop loss above your entry. So very, very good job on this trade, Dan Bickett. So also next we get John. John, you did manage to grab, at least John is part of the Afriforex team. You do know him. He's been here showing you all the pairs that we should be looking at this week. So we did manage to grab a very nice selling opportunity on the euro against the Japanese yen. Remember, we did end up having a look at it where the price managed to actually go. This is the trade that we were looking at. You can see the price managed to actually come down very nicely, but we should have managed the trade there, and that's exactly what John did. You can see stop loss already below his entry. So this is a very, very good trade, John. I also managed to grab a nice buying opportunity on the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. You can see the price did manage to come back within a buyer's area. We'll end up having a look at it since we will still be looking at this currency pair today. Did end up managing within the seller's area, and you can see stop loss already above your entry. So the things that we keep on telling you guys to do, it's something that we are practically doing. We don't preach, we practice what we preach, basically. So next, we also did get Caroline. Caroline Cassini did manage to grab some very nice buying opportunities right here on gold. Right there, the extreme. You can see the price really coming up in your favor. Stop loss way above your entry. Good, nice entries there. So very, very well done on this trade, Caroline. And you also did grab a very nice selling opportunity on the euro against the Japanese yen. She did end up getting a better entry than John. Ideally, it seems like the student become the master in such situations, but a very nice sell right there at the extreme. Can see the price coming down in our favor and stop loss already below the entry. So very, very good job on this trade, Caroline. So that's it for all the screenshots that we did manage to get. And thank you guys all. A shout out to all the traders who did manage to send them in to us. But remember, guys, if you do manage to take any setups based on things that we do share, feel free to send them in to us. Our contact details are right there in the chat box. But also remember, if you do want to end up being part of the team, you can end up also reaching out to us. We do provide some education, and we will exactly show you how to be able to look for these entries. So if you are interested in that, we do have the AMP course, which we will be doing the last session, or at least this last month, at least maybe till next year. So if you are interested, we will be starting next week. There's only like one slot remaining, so feel free to reach out to us on the contact details in the chat box. So let's jump straight into today's pairs. So we'll start off here with the Canadian dollar pairs, mix and match them with the pairs on the sell side. Do the same thing with the US dollar, the Australian dollar, then the British pound, before we do have a look at the indices, as well as gold and silver. So we'll start off here with the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. It is still today. You can see where the price was yesterday when John was discussing this market. Even though we had the level, I've adjusted this middle level right there just slightly, but you can clearly see the price managed to really come down based on even the illustrations that John had pointed out. You can see the price came down within this particular area. We did end up getting a probe. If you do notice the time, that was at 3 o'clock. The price has confirmed. Once it did come to the upside, you can see multiple times that the price has actually come and held above this particular area. So that has just confirmed that that's just a probe. And the buyers don't necessarily, sorry, the sellers right here attempting to push down don't necessarily seem very strong. So we will be still looking for buying opportunities. And that's the reason why we just adjusted the level slightly. Right here, we want to see whether or not we can end up getting a pullback within this particular support and resistance area. We'll take a note of another support and resistance area right there at the top that you definitely should make sure you watch out for. So in such a situation, what we want to see, or at least what I would be waiting for, is the price to potentially come back within this same particular area. We're going to look for a buying opportunity. We'll make sure that we manage the trade within this particular seller's area. Even if the price breaks its area to the upside, it goes above. Yes, they can still be a buy, but you do need to watch out for this particular area. You can see even though the price is break, it's not necessarily a very strong breach. Chances are such situations can end up happening where you end up actually getting a deeper pullback. So overall, we'll definitely be looking for those buying opportunities. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting this pullback coming in a bit lower. So hope that's clear on the Canadian dollar against the Swiss franc. So looking at the next Canadian dollar pair, we do have the euro against the Canadian dollar. The euro pairs really did work out yesterday, coming to the downside. So today, buyers here, or at least let me look at yesterday. The price during the London session, we were pulling back right here. Not necessarily get the sellers reacting within this area. The price managed to continue going up high. You can see we did end up getting a spike to the upside. That was at 3 o'clock. You can see the price did manage to come down lower. This one, although it was a bit difficult to end up getting, mainly because remember, we always say once the price breaks a level, we always want to see the price pulling back to that area before we're able to look for sales. And it seems that that did not happen yesterday, but that doesn't mean it cannot happen today. Since this level wasn't tested, we could be seeing the price actually coming back to that area before we actually see those sales. So today, the bias is still to look for selling opportunities. The levels haven't really changed much. The aggressive sellers right there at the top. So as long as we're holding below that red SNR, we will still be looking for selling opportunities. So right now, as the price has come back and approaching this particular support and resistance area, let's wait to see. At least the game plan would be the price to come back within this area. And remember, it being there within one of the market opening times, 10, 3, or 4:30, for a potential sell within that particular area. So I hope that's clear, at least on the euro against the Canadian dollar, at least what our game plan is there. Moving on to the next Canadian dollar pair we do have. Right here, we have the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. Seems that the New Zealand dollar pairs, the big boys weren't really interested in it yesterday because it's a similar situation which we did see on the New Zealand dollar against the yen. So in this situation, you can see during the London session, the price was within this buyer's area. So no selling opportunities within a buyer's. And you can see the buyers did manage to push the price up higher. was within this seller's area at 3 o'clock, and you can see it attempted to try and come down lower, but they weren't really strong enough. You can see the price has managed to come back, or at least the big boys weren't really interested in pushing it at that point in time. But that doesn't mean that's not going to be the case today. So overall, we'll still be looking for selling opportunities, pretty much focusing on the same areas. Right now, we're within an area of interest, so we'll be very interested to see what ends up happening within this particular location. So we'll wait to see whether or not at least some big boy sellers are going to come in within this area. So if we do end up seeing the price attempting to go to the upside, and we see it coming down, and we see the price coming back up slowly, and it falls below, then we should be able to look for selling opportunities there. But right now, if you see the way the sellers came down, look at how the buyers are reacting. These buyers are still strong. So just because we're within a seller's area, that doesn't mean just jump in and sell. Ideally, wait to see at least some signs of big boy sellers within that area to give you more confirmation on your trades. So watch out for those three areas, because ideally we could also end up being in some sort of range, but overall, the bias here is still going to be looking for selling opportunity. So moving on to the last currency pair that we do have, or for the Canadian dollar pairs, this is the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen, brand new entry on our watch list. And overall, we do want to look for buying opportunities on this currency pair. So we will be focusing on these three areas. You notice the buyers really managed to push the price up higher. We did end up getting a pullback. The price attempted to push to the upside. We could not get a new high. So there's a possibility either the price needs to end up coming down a bit lower, might end up spiking down. Because remember, if this price is not good enough, meaning we might need a bit of a better price. And that's the reason why you sometimes find the market spiking to the downside. But overall, we'll definitely be looking to see if we can end up looking for buying opportunities here. The price is able to continue going up higher, and it doesn't breach, and we see the price actually coming back in and holding above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities. But do make sure that breach that happens is a very strong breach. We don't necessarily want something very small like this, because these ones don't necessarily convince the main buyer. And you can clearly see it's a sign that the buyers are really not interested, and you can see the price ends up giving you a pullback. So let's wait to see what ends up happening. If the breach happens, let's make sure that it is definitely some strong buyers coming in. So I hope that is clear on the Canadian dollar pairs. As you can see, we'll mix and match the Canadian dollar with all the pairs on the sell side. So we're going to move on to the US dollar and do the same thing. So we'll start off here with the US dollar against the Swiss franc. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. In fact, pretty much the exact same areas that we were focusing on yesterday. But you can see, when we look at yesterday, what ended up happening. There was some nice buying opportunity that did end up coming in. You can see where the price was within the London session open, or within an area where there are sellers. So no buying opportunity at that point in time. And you can see it did look as if the price was attempting to break this area to the upside, but it wasn't a very strong breach up. And you can see the price managed to come all the way back down, giving us a probe right here. And you can see when the price came back in, you can see the wall pullbacks that did end up coming in, confirming that the price was actually holding above. So there could have been buying opportunities. And if you do note the time, that was around 3 o'clock. On the pullback that came in, this was around 4:30 or so. So the market opening times do end up giving you, at least when the prices are within certain areas, it does end up giving your trades higher probabilities. So today, the bias is definitely still going to be looking for buying opportunities, pretty much focusing on the same areas. We could potentially be in some sort of range, bouncing between these two levels. So don't be surprised that the price can still come back in within this particular area for us to end up looking for buying opportunities. However, if we are able to get the price breaching and holding above, remember, we want a strong breach. We don't want something like this to confirm that that's a breach. Remember, we want something that's very strong. So on the pullback, right, we do end up wanting the sellers to come in a bit slower within that area for us to look for those buying opportunities. That would be the ideal situation. And especially if it lines up within one of the market opening times, you do end up having a very good chance of making some good money there. So we'll wait and see what ends up happening. But for right now, we need either the big boy buyers to come in or a deeper pullback coming in. So moving on to the next US dollar pair, here we have the euro against the US dollar. Yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. And you can see the three areas that John had pointed out. During the London session open, we were within a buyer's area, so no selling opportunities at that time. We ended up getting the pullback coming in throughout the London session. But at 3 o'clock, similar situation, you can see the price managed to spike up within this area. Might have been a bit difficult to get, but you can see the price managed to spike within that area. And we did manage to get the price coming down lower. We did get a small confirmation that the price was actually holding below as well. So this was mainly because of the euro pairs. So overall, the sales did work out very, very nicely. And today seems like we are on a pullback, which is a good thing. Because remember, if we want to sell, we need buyers coming in, right? So this market has started giving us a pullback. And if you also compare how the sellers came in comparison to how the buyers, definitely the sellers are much, much stronger. So right now, let's wait to see what ends up happening. It looks as if it's attempting to breach this area to the upside, which is what we want to see, inciting more people to start jumping in on breakout buys. We do end up seeing the price coming back in and we see it actually falls below, then we could end up finding a very nice selling opportunity available for us on the euro against the US dollar. But watch out for this. If the price falls above within this area, we'll be looking to see the exact same thing potentially within the main aggressive sellers area right there at the top. So I hope that's clear on the euro against the US dollar. So moving on to the next US dollar pair, we do have the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. And you can see the three areas that John had pointed out. But similar situation with the New Zealand dollar pairs that we've had a look at. Nothing really much happened. You can see how messy and choppy it was. During the London market open, we did get the price coming down, no breach and hold below. The price managed to come back in within the seller's area at around 3 o'clock. And there was a small selling opportunity, especially if you consider the fact that this market is definitely ranging between these two levels. So overall, we definitely still want to look for those selling opportunities. If that's the case, the best place to look for the sells is going to be at the top of the range right here. So we'll wait to see if we can end up getting some sort of probe or price action signal within this area. We could be able to look for some selling opportunities there. If this level doesn't hold and you see the price actually breaking and holding to the upside, then we should be coming back all the way to this main seller's area for us to look for those selling opportunities. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening on this. But overall, we definitely are within this particular range. So moving on to the next and last US dollar pair that we do have, which is the US dollar against the Japanese yen. These are brand new entry on our watch list. So overall, these are the three levels we're going to be focusing on to look for those buying opportunities. You can see right now, the price does seem to be within a very nice area. This does seem to be like a very nice potential trade that does seem to be setting up. You can see the price did manage to go to the upside. What we don't want to buy all the way at the top, we want a pullback. The pullback has started coming in. We have approached within a buyer's area. There's some potential probes coming in within this area right here. So let's wait to see. This is actually a probe, and the price actually comes back in and you see it holding above. Then we could end up finding a very nice buying opportunity available for us on the US dollar against the Japanese yen. But if the price comes back in and holds below, then at that point in time, we should even still be waiting for our buys much a bit lower within this particular area, but definitely the buys are still on as long as we're holding above the red signal. The price breaks and holds below this red support and resistance area, this pair will follow for our watch list. So hope that's clear, at least on all those US dollar pairs. So we're now going to move on to the Australian dollar pairs and do the same thing. So looking for buys on the Australian dollar, we'll start off with the Australian dollar against Swiss franc. Now this is the pair that I didn't manage to actually grab. You can clearly see the three areas that John had pointed out, looking for buying opportunities. In a similar situation, during the London session, price was within this area where they're sellers. You can see the price managed to actually come down, gave us a very nice probe. You can see a similar illustration that John had pointed out. Price looked as if it was coming to the downside, it came back up and was holding above. And if we do line that up with the timings at 3 o'clock, that's when the pushes did end up starting to happen, although this one did end up really moving at around 5:30 or so. So you can clearly see the market did manage to go to the upside. Today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. Pretty much wanted to see what ended up happening within these areas. And the reason why the levels are still the same is because we weren't fully convinced about this breach to the upside, especially the way the price had come down lower. However, if the price is definitely holding to the upside, we'll wait to see where the price can end up getting to. You can see we've been in some sort of range. And the fact is, if you do end up taking note, the price has been within all this high, or at least it has been to this high before. If you look at the last time the price managed to get all the way there, it must have incited very many people to look for buys. Then you can see what ended up happening. The price managed to come all the way back down to the bottom of this range. So just because the price is all the way there, that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed for a full buy. And that's the reason why I wanted to see whether or not the price is actually going to hold above. If it's now holding above, let's wait to get confirmation. I think with this one, it would be safer maybe waiting for that breach to the upside. If the price holds above, then there could be a buying opportunity there. But for right now, do not chase the market. We're very close to a seller's area. The buyers have been buying for quite a while. let's see if we can potentially end up getting a pullback on this one before we're able to look for those buying opportunities on the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. So let's wait to see what ends up happening on that. Moving on to the next pair, we did have the euro against the Australian dollar. In this kind of pair, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities. Still is today. You can see the AS did work out quite nicely yesterday, as John had illustrated. At 10 o'clock, the price was within the seller's AM. It seems that this market started moving during the London session. During the US session, wanted to see if we could end up getting a slight pullback. We hardly did, but the market ended up getting a lot more strength to come to the downside. So this trade worked out both during the London as well as the US session. In fact, it seems like it worked out during all sessions. So today, the bias here is definitely still going to be looking for selling opportunities. But if you realize where we are, we're within an area where there are buyers. So definitely no selling opportunities just yet. So we want to see whether or not we could end up getting a pullback, potentially coming back within this support and resistance area for us to look for those sells. But remember, as long as we're holding below the red support and resistance area, our bias here is going to be looking for those selling opportunities. Right now, let's wait to see what ends up happening. Either a breach to the downside. If you see the price holding below, then we should be able to continue with those sells. But chances are we will be coming back within this area. This would be a much better trade for me, waiting for the price within this particular SNR to look for those selling opportunities. So hope that is clear on the euro against the Australian dollar. So moving on to the next Australian dollar pair we do have is the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. Now, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. And you can see the three areas that John had pointed out. Can seem that the price was holding within this particular area. So at 10 o'clock, we did end up seeing some big boy buyers coming in. At that point in time, the sellers did end up slowing down. At 3 o'clock, we did end up starting to get this market to actually start pushing to the upside, but mainly at 4:30. You can see once the price broke to the upside, once the price is holding above, there could have been another buying opportunity there. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for those buying opportunities. We'll pretty much be focusing on these three areas to look for the buys. But if you realize we're within an area where the sellers, similar situation with the euro against the Australian dollar. So we do not want to jump in on any trading opportunity just yet. We need one of two things. Either the price to confirm that we've actually broken to the upside, and when we get the pullback coming in, we should be able to look for a buying opportunity there. But there's a possibility. Remember, we need to get confirmation that the price has broken a level, but if the price actually holds. But if the price ends up reacting within this area, we could still see the price coming back within this support and resistance area before we're able to look for those buys on the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. So hope that is clear as we move on to the last Australian dollar pair. It's a brand new entry on our watch list, which is the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So in this pair, our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. It seems that the Australian dollar pairs are showing a bit of strength, but the problem is they're showing strength. People will start jumping in on buys, not realizing that all of them are within an area where they're sellers. So don't be surprised if the price actually ends up coming back down within this particular area before we're able to look for buying opportunities. But if that doesn't happen, ideally what we want to see is a strong breach to the upside. Once we are able to see those buyers really coming in, and we want to see that pullback slowing down, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities, especially if it lines up within one of the market opening times. But let's wait to see what ends up happening. This could have something to do with the Australian dollar as well as the yen, because remember, we did have a look at a number of those yen pairs. They did end up looking as if they're pulling back within these areas of interest, and they could actually start moving. So if you can see on both the US dollar against the yen, Canadian dollar against the yen, similar story. But if you look at the Australian dollar against the yen, it's all the way back at the top. It's not even really down there. This means that this has something definitely to do with the Australian dollar, but maybe the yen is also helping it a bit. So let's wait to see what ends up happening on this pair. So that's it for all the Australian dollar pairs. So we're going to move on to the last kinds of pairs that we do have. Those are the British pound pairs, before we do have a look at the indices as well as gold and silver. So British pound pairs, we do have a number of brand new entries on our watch list. Here we have the British pound against the Swiss franc. So these prices have really, really taken off, mainly because of those fundamentals. And these were the levels that we had earlier in the morning. But the way the price has gone to the upside, remember, even though we've seen the price break such levels and not really even, and has been able to come back in terms of actually just being approved. So right now, you can clearly see how strong this level is, where the price has been here quite a few times. Right now, we do seem to be approaching at least an area where there are sellers within this particular area right here. It does seem there's a SNR within that location. So can see within this area how many times the price is actually held within this location, this particular price. Multiple times whenever the price is there, look at the pushes to the downside. So right here, you can see the next push, but the fact that we have broken this area to the upside, then what we need is definitely a pullback to come in, potentially within this support and resistance area. So this is what we'll be waiting to see. Definitely do not want to start jumping in on buys all the way at the top there, because that would mean you're expecting the price to really even go higher. In this situation, if you want to buy something, we'll always ask for that discount to come in, buy it at a much cheaper price, so that even if the price gets back within this area, we can still sell it, because we definitely know there are people willing to buy at that particular price. So let's wait to see what ends up happening, but that's definitely the game plan on the British pound against the Swiss franc. So moving on to the next British pound pair, we do have the euro against the British pound. So in this kind of pair, our bias here is to look for selling opportunities. Remember, the British pound here is the counter currency. So a buy on the British pound means this price should be coming down. And with a mixture of the euro being weak, then definitely you are seeing the prices are really dropping to the downside. But it's a similar situation right now. We can see we're breaking a major level to the downside. You can see how many times this price is actually held to the upside. So in such a situation, remember, we need the same exact thing. I think the game plan will pretty much be the same. Right now, most people are jumping in on their sells, not necessarily waiting for those pullbacks. For us, we wait to see if we can end up getting that pullback coming in within that support and resistance area for us to look for selling opportunities. So for now, we're not going to be doing anything with the British pound. We're not going to be buying or selling it. We're going to be waiting for the pullback for at least a price within a good area for us to look for those trading opportunities. So moving on to the next British pound pair, we do have the British pound against the New Zealand dollar. Now, on this kind of pair, bias here is to look for buying opportunities, brand new entering our watch list. So overall, this will be the level we'll be focusing on. And you can see the similar correlation coming in with the British pound pairs. All of them right now have ended up going up quite aggressive. But remember, we need that pullback to come in. So let's hope to see if we can end up getting the price coming back in and holding above for us to look for those buying opportunities. So remember, watch out for the timing, 10, 3, and 4:30, because you could end up finding a very nice buying opportunity on this. But for right now, please don't chase the market. Don't start jumping in on buys there and not having a stop loss. Let's wait to see if the price comes back within the good, at least this area of interest, before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. So last but not least, we do have the British pound against the Japanese yen. Now, this is a pair that we did have yesterday. However, we were looking for selling opportunities. Unfortunately, the sales did not work out. You can see the 3 areas that John had pointed out. During the London session open, we were within this area where there are buyers. You can see the pullback side coming in. And if you compare how the seller came in and how the buyer was coming in, the buyer was not really looking very strong. However, you can see the price continued grinding up higher. Within this area at 3 o'clock, we attempted to break this area to the upside. It looked as if it probed, but if the price came back in and held below, that would have confirmed that this was a probe. But you can see the price came back up and held above. That confirmed that that level had been broken to the upside, so no selling opportunity yet. And once it did go up higher, then ideally it did end up falling off our watch list. However, due to the fact that the British pound and the Japanese yen have switched sides, today we will be looking for buying opportunities on this kind of pair. So pretty much similar situation on all these other pairs. We pretty much have the exact same areas, but you can see the strength on the British pound. We need that pullback to come in. So we're not going to chase the market. We're not going to start jumping in and buying opportunities here. What I'll be waiting for is the price to come back within this area, see what kind of reaction happens within there. Are the big boy sellers going to be interested? If they are, and you do see them coming in, and it does end up aligning within one of the market opening times, then definitely we'll be looking for buying opportunities within that area. So hope that is clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the buy side with the pairs on the sell side. So right now we're going to have a look at the indices before we do have a look at gold and silver. So we'll start off here with the NAS 100. So yesterday, our bias was to look for selling opportunities. Still is the same situation today. You can see the 3 areas that John had pointed out. So initially, the price looked as if it was breaking this area to the upside. We did have our red support resistance area right there, just adjusted it slightly. But you can see the price looked as if it was breaking this area to the upside, going up. But when the price came back down, we never got the price actually holding above. It actually ended up coming back down. We can see on the pullback, the price confirmed that the price is actually holding below, and there could have been a selling opportunity within that area. Still making sure to manage your trade within these problem areas. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities based on these 3 areas. Remember, with gold, silver, as well as the indices, We're purely technical. We don't look at the fundamental side of it. We're mainly focusing on the technical aspect of the trading, or at least what is happening on the charts. So overall, we will be looking for selling opportunities, but remember, as long as we're holding below this red support and resistance area, if the price is able to break and hold above that area, then this pair will fall off. It won't fall off our watch list. Apologies, we will be looking for buying opportunities if it does do that. So in this situation, what we want to see, hopefully, or at least what I'll be waiting for, is the price to end up doing something similar to that, at least seeing what kind of reaction ends up coming in within the seller's area. But if the price breaks to the upside and holds above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities. So you need to confirm, the confirmation of the price holding above is very, very important. But if you do see the price ending up coming down lower, it does end up holding below within this area, should be able to look for those selling opportunities. Just watch out for these small problem areas. You can see there seems to be some small buyers within here. If they have reacted from there before, they could end up reacting from there again. So do end up watching out for such SNR levels. So hope that is clear on the NAS 100. So if we move on to the Dow Jones. Now, the Dow Jones yesterday, we're looking for selling opportunities, but it was based on these three areas. As you can see, John had pointed out within these locations. So initially, the price was approaching this particular seller's area. Wanted to see whether or not we would end up getting the price coming down low. But remember, the red support and resistance area was right here, meaning if the price was able to break and hold above that area, then our bias switches. And you can see that's exactly what ended up happening during the US session. The price broke to the upside. On the pullback, the price came back in, confirmed that the price is actually holding above, and could have actually been able to look for buying opportunities at that point in time. That's the reason why today we'll definitely still be looking for buys, or at least today we will be looking for buying opportunities. We'll be focusing on these three areas to look for the buys. So the aggressive buyers area down here. So as long as we're holding above this red support and resistance area, our bias is to look for buying opportunities. Right now, what we want to see, or at least what I'll be waiting for, is a pullback to come in, which it does seem that that's what it's attempting to do. We do end up seeing the price approaching this support and resistance area, getting some sort of probe or price action signal, or it lines up within one of the market opening times, then you could end up finding a very nice buying opportunity here. But remember, the Dow Jones and NASDAQ, they're mainly active during the US session, including gold and silver, mainly because we can see that it is silver versus the US dollar. So since the US dollar is mainly active during the US session, that is the reason why. So moving on to silver. Now, silver, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. You can see the three areas that John had pointed out during the London session. We were actually within this bias area. We got a nice probe where the price looked as if it was breaking to the downside. We came back up. When the price was holding above, there could have been a buying opportunity right there. You can see similar situation during the US session. The price managed to break this area to the upside and hold above. These wicks might have stopped people out. They were a bit aggressive, but the price was still holding within that area and still did manage to get all the way to this main seller's area. You can see it did something similar later on, coming back within the same buyer's area and managing to go all the way up higher. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. And if you realize, we pretty much have the same areas as yesterday, but you notice that there is a blue level right there at the top. And the reason for that is because we have seen the price actually attempt to go all the way within this area. And you can see the kind of reaction that came in. The price managed to get all the way down towards this red support and resistance area. So the fact that the price came back within that location, weren't fully convinced. And you can clearly see the aggression of the sellers coming in, especially if the price comes back in and falls below within this area. Chances are we could be getting the price coming back in a bit lower. Since we are within a range, we could end up getting the price coming back within this particular area before we're able to look for those buying opportunities. But if the price holds above this location, we can be able to look for buying opportunities, but do make sure you manage your trade within this blue support and resistance area. You can clearly see there are some strong sellers holding the market within that location. So you do need to make sure you manage your trades there. So hope that is clear on silver and what the game plan is on that. Here, moving on to gold. So on gold, yesterday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that John had pointed out during the London session were within the seller's area. So no buying opportunity at that point in time. You can see waiting for a pullback. That pullback hardly came in. It looks as if it was attempting to break this area to the upside. So all those late buyers, if you think about it, because remember, most people end up chasing the market. So when the price had come all the way up and was within here, people are thinking that this level has been broken without getting confirmation. Even if you jumped in on your buys there, where are most people putting their stop losses? If they want to be safe, they're either putting them there, or even going to put them below this particular buy. And you can clearly see the price still managed to come back for them. That's mainly because you need to have a good area of where you're looking for your entries. Don't chase the market, wait for those confirmations. And you can clearly see the price managed to come down lower, came back within this area. And if we do take note of what time that was, sorry, that was around 3:30 or so. And you can see the price managed to actually go to the upside at that point in time. You missed that trade. You can see once the price broke to the upside, there was a pullback coming in. Although this was a bit later, around 6:30 or 7, before the market actually managed to continue going to the upside. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buys. I know a number of you were asking about gold being at all-time highs. Records are always meant to be broken. So just because it's a highest point today doesn't mean tomorrow we could end up still seeing the price breaking this high. So we'll still wait to see, because ideally we're still within a buyer zone. So as long as we're holding above the red SNR, we will be looking for those buying opportunities. Right now, definitely some sellers are coming in. So let's wait to see if we can end up getting this pullback coming in, seeing some sort of probe or price action signal within this area for us to look for buying opportunities. But be aware, the price can still come down all the way to this red support and resistance area for us to look for buys, and we will still be looking for buying opportunities. Only if we do get the price breaking and holding below this red SNR, will we actually jump in and start looking for sells on gold. So hope that is clear on all the kinds of pairs. As you can see, we've mixed and matched all the pairs on the buy side with the pairs on the sell side. So you can see if I can address any questions on the Q&A section, if there are any. And I'm not seeing much. I'm seeing Alan Drone is saying, hi, Mitch. Thanks a lot. Karibu sana, Alan. Glad to see you here. Your vote of thanks. Glad to see you here as well. So I'm not seeing any more questions, which I guess is okay. Guess everything has been well understood. But remember, if it is not, do reach out to us. We're not scary people. I mean, you see us in front of our computers, but I think most people who have actually reached out to us and our students do know we're very, very friendly people. So don't be hesitant or anything like that or intimidated. Just feel free to reach out to us. Our contact details are right there in the chat box. We are here to try and help you guys as much as possible. The only reason we're doing this is because we know exactly how it was, especially when starting out. Hardly anyone was ending up giving actually proper, accurate information. So that's the one thing we want to try and help you guys with. So once again, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And remember also, just realize that Monday is a holiday. So unfortunately, there will be no webinar on Monday. So I guess we will be seeing you guys on Tuesday. But remember, I will end up updating the watch list and posting it on the Telegram channel. So if you're not in the Telegram channel, there should be a link for that in the chat box. So once again, thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a great weekend. God bless, happy trading, and bye for now. Cheers.